So today's adventure is changing out the axle shafts, because the Dana 30 is pretty weak, and I had one of my universals was starting to go bad on the driver's side, so I'm changing both of them to a heavier duty unit. So this is just a quick run over of how to do that. You have to remove the wheel bearing. Now, to get to this, you remove your axle, you remove your tires, spacers if you have them. Remove the caliper and rotor, and the caliper is held on with these two bolts coming from the back. That is, it's a 3/4 size, or it might be metric on yours, but mine had been changed over at some point. I don't know who, but it was changed over, and it was 13mm bolts that hold in the wheel bearing. They're 12.13mm bolts. They were really rusted. It was a bugger to get them out. In fact, the other side I had to cut them off because they were rusted right into place. There was no turning them out. And as you can see, the wheel bearing and everything here is pretty crusty. This is just scale. That will come off. That's all cast iron. That's not going anywhere. But turns out the wheel bearing was bad, so I'm glad I was replacing those to begin with. Now, but once you get those off, the shaft literally will just slide out. And you just pull it out. This little dust shield, I'm going to switch it over because the new ones didn't come with that. And see if I can stand up and pull it out the rest of the way for you. And there we go. So this is the passenger side. It's actually, it was not worn out, but the universal was still good, but that's where it was going bad on mine. And again, they make a larger one, which is what I'm putting in. The only thing, and I haven't found out yet, is they made the yoke here a little bit thicker, so I may have to grind down the bolts a little. They say just to take a tiny bit off of where they go into the wheel bearing. The bolts are coming today. I'm putting in new bolts, obviously, because they were pretty bad. And anything else I'll find in here, I will replace. Now, here is a comparison of the old shaft and the new shaft. And you can see how small and narrow that is compared to the newer one. Much, much thicker, much heavier duty, bigger universal. But again, I may have to do a little grinding to get this to fit in between all the bolts. But it's worth it to have the extra heavy. And I could have gone with CV joints. I wanted these because I use my Jeep year round. I plow with it, I work with it, I tow with it, do a lot. And I wanted a greasable fitting in there. There's a grease fitting on there, so there it is. There's a grease zerk on there, so I can grease this. And so that's it. As I was cleaning up the inside here and making sure that everything fits okay, I discovered a problem. So my grease fitting, the grease zerk on the lower ball joint, just touches the this. So I'm going to have to remove that and cap it. I'm going to grease it first, remove the cap, remove the zerk, put a cap in it, and I want to eventually replace these ball joints anyway. These are the factory ones. There's no play in them. They actually are still good, but I want the heavier duty ones anyway. So that will be for another day, but just something to be aware of when you're installing one of these. Same thing on the driver's side. Had to remove the grease zerk, so I just greased it, put a cap on it, and wire brushed everything out so everything slid in. Now it spins free. I just have to wait for my bolts to come in. They haven't come in yet. But then I can assemble the brakes and torque everything down. Everything will be ready to go. So pretty simple procedure. Hardest part is getting those bolts out if they're rusted, and the wheel bearings do tend to get stuck in there. You have to persuade them to come out with a gentle persuasion. You can also use an air hammer with a chisel bit, and you can like wedge it in there, and that often will get it loose. But my persuasion technique worked just fine with this one, because I didn't care if I damaged the old ones, since they were no good anyway. And I'd say if it hasn't been for the rusted bolts and everything, and didn't have the parts on hand, probably would have taken me a couple of hours to do the whole job, start to finish. But because of the bolts weren't here and things were rusted and jammed, take a little longer. Like I said, my bolts don't even come in till tomorrow. But very easy job. Your average mechanic could do this no problem. So I don't want to say that I don't trust people or trust organizations, but these were pre-greased universals that came on the shaft, and the type of person who looks both ways when I cross a one-way street, and so I greased them anyway. There was a lot of air in the system, so I took quite a bit of grease. So it's better safe than sorry. Just grease it. Don't trust what the manufacturer says for something like that. So I have my new wheel bearing bolts. I highly recommend changing these anytime you change your wheel bearing, because they do stretch, and you don't want to have failure. Plus, you don't have to worry about rust with new ones. And this is the shoulder I was talking about earlier, that in a lot of cases when you put in these new heavier duty shafts, you have to grind this shoulder down. It appears that with this particular one, I'm not going to have to. The clearance, and I've cleaned all the inside out. I didn't bother cleaning the outside of this, but these will fit right in here. And the danger is that this shoulder will hit on the shaft when it spins. Let's see if I can spin it by hand. But it is, the top bolt doesn't seem to have any interference problems. It's the two bottom ones, and I've already done the passenger side. And whenever you do this, obviously you want to snug the bolts up, make sure your bearing is in all the way, and then spin everything to make sure that there's no interference or anything. The tolerance is quite tight, but it clears. And I've already spun it to make sure that there's no interference. So there you